A lot of times I get asked this question: what's the difference between an LMSW and an LCSW? And if you have an LMSW, does it make sense to even get an LCSW? So this video, I'm going to break it down and do a comparison of an LMSW and an LCSW to make sure that you walk away having a better understanding of which credential you should work towards and if having both is even worth it. So let me share my screen and we're going to jump right into it. And if it's not clear, or you're still confused, or you're not really sure what to do afterwards, let me know in the comment section. Your girl got you. So let's start here. An LMSW is defined as an entry-level license to social workers. And an advanced license for independent clinical practice is what you would call an LCSW. So you have the licensed master social worker and you have the licensed clinical social worker. When it comes to education, you need an MSW for both. That is the minimum criteria. You must have a master's in social work. However, with an LMSW, all you need is a master's in social work. But on the flip side, an LCSW, you need an MSW plus supervised clinical hours. So let's look at the licensure process. You earn your MSW, you pass your LMSW exam, you obtain a license. If you go for the LCSW track, you earn an MSW, you pass the LMSW exam, then you complete 2,000 to 4,000 hours of supervised hours, that is, under another LCSW. And in fourth, you pass the clinical exam. Now, I want to stay here for a moment because many people actually don't need to get the hours before taking the LMSW exam. It really depends on the state that you're in. For instance, I'm licensed in the state of Texas. In Texas, in order to even get an LCSW, you must have an LMSW. I'm also licensed in the state of Virginia. And in Virginia, you don't need an LMSW in order to get an LCSW. So you must be clear on your state requirements so you'll know what you need to do before you jump in and just start, doing the most and spend a whole lot of unnecessary money, time, and energy. All right, so let's talk about the scope of practice. If you get your LMSW, you're pretty much doing case management, advocacy, some non-clinical roles. Clinical services can be done, but it must be done under supervision, which many of you might understand that because you might be working towards your LCSW and you know that in order to get your LCSW while you're under supervision, you're under someone else's license. So you can provide clinical services as long as you're under supervision. Now, if you get your LCSW, you are independent. You can diagnose clients, you can do treatment of mental health issues, you can practice therapy without the supervision of someone else. That is the major difference. So for instance, if you want to go into private practice, you cannot do that with an LMSW. You can do that with an LCSW. If you are an LMSW and you want to go into private practice, you will have to do it under someone else's license. That is the big difference. So let's talk about opportunities. You can be a case manager, a school social worker, a community advocate, or you can work in like nonprofit and agency roles. Of course, hospice and all the other major social work roles, you can do that with an LMSW. Now, if you have an LCSW, it opens up the door even more. You can be a therapist, you can be a private practice owner, you could be a clinical supervisor, and you could do advanced clinical roles like a clinical director for an agency or the clinical review person, someone that's reviewing documents and overseeing the clinical activities of a specific department within an agency. These are things you can do with an LCSW. Let's talk about what you guys want to hear, that money. So the salary range, if you have an LMSW, you're looking to start out anywhere between $50,000 and $70,000. Now that does vary based on where you live and your experience. So think about it. If you are a social worker in Oklahoma, you can't expect to make the same amount as a social worker in New York City. If you are a social worker in Missouri, you can't expect to make the same amount as a social worker in California. So you must understand your locality, the cost of living, and all those things when you're looking at the salary range. I know many people who graduate with the MSW and they just assume they're going to come out the gate making some money. And I'm like, baby, hold on. You're going to have to work a little bit more, get that experience, get an advanced license, work in another area, maybe work 2-3 jobs. You can get the money, but it's going to be a little different in how quickly it comes and how much it comes. Looking at a LCSW and some of the career opportunities, as I shared, if you are in those roles like a therapist or private practice owner, making between 60 and 90,000 or more is pretty much a normal thing. Higher in private practices and specialized roles. Say you are a private practice practitioner. Maybe you're not the owner, but you work in private practice and you're a therapist and you specialize in trauma, or you have your certification in EMDR. I don't know, just naming some things out there. If you have a specialty, you can charge more for the type of services, and you're also going to be like a hot commodity. If you're providing this and no one else is doing it, people are going to pay extra and pay more to seek your services. Or agencies or private practice owners are going to pay more to get you to be a part of their practice because you bring something to the table that nobody else does. So also keep that in mind when you're looking at your salary range. Know your worth. And also, with that being said, it doesn't just stop here. You don't just get your LCSW or your LMSW and then say that's it. A lot of times, once you get that LCSW, that opens up the door for many more certifications and to enhance your specialty and things of that nature. All right, so I hope this was very helpful. The key difference is when you work as an LMSW, you're focusing on generalized social work or generalist social work and supervised clinical tasks. I mean, you can do the clinical stuff, but you're going to be under someone else's supervision. And if you get your LCSW, it focuses on being independent, having your own practice, working in someone's practice, but being able to provide therapy and getting paid a lot more because you don't need that other person overseeing your work and overseeing what you do. So if you're sitting around and you're trying to figure out, should I get my LMSW or should I get my LCSW? I hope this video has been able to give you some clarity. Keep in mind, it's not a one-stop shop. You can get both. There are many people who are supervised who have an LMSW and then they decide to get their LCSW as time goes on. One of the things you want to consider also is what state you're in, because some states require you to get one before you can get the other. Lastly, I want to say, it really depends on where you are, who you are, and what you're trying to obtain, and what is your bottom line, and what are you driven to do? What is your calling? Social workers, we are called to do something. We're always trying to better ourselves and better the world around us. So if getting an advanced license is just not something you want to do, it is perfectly fine. There are many school social workers, there are many hospice workers, there are many medical social workers, and all other type of social workers that are getting the bag, honey, and they don't have near license. Do I recommend you get the license? Absolutely. That is the epitome and the top of getting your MSW. Once you get your MSW, you open up all kind of doors. But then when you get that LCSW and that LMSW, you open up even more doors. So I'm just a firm believer in not blocking out any blessings or any opportunities that can come my way. So if the sky's the limit, I'm gonna keep going to the sky and just seeing where I fall. That's just my motto. I hope this video was hella helpful. If you are not subscribed, please make sure you do. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share with a friend. And if you're looking to get some test prep tips or just some knowledge on being a private practice professional, maybe you've gotten your license already and you're trying to figure out what to do, I do have another YouTube channel that talks just about private practice, all the ins and outs and all the benefits and everything you need to know if that is your walk. If you are trying to just study for the exam, get that license so you can decide what you want to do, then check out our test prep program. All the information is in the bio, in the description, and I hope you continue to follow and look forward to seeing you again soon. Be blessed.